Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. So today we're taking some fascinating source material and turning it into a highly visual, super easy to understand study guide. I mean, if you've ever looked at the massive set of fundamental laws governing a huge, diverse country and thought, man, I really wish someone could just break this down for me structurally, well, you are in the exact right place. Because today, we are completely decoding the Indian Constitution. Let's get right into it. Okay, picture this. It's a chilly January 26th morning in New Delhi. You're bundled up, maybe huddled around the TV, or if you're really lucky, you're actually there in person, watching those magnificent marching bands, the vibrant floats, and the unfurling of the tricolor flag. But what exactly are we celebrating on Republic Day? You know, it's not just a cool parade. It actually marks the very day the Indian Constitution officially came into effect back in 1950. It's literally the birthday of the nation's ultimate rulebook. To make sure we cover this efficiently, here's our quick syllabus for today. 1. The ultimate rulebook. 2. Writing the Constitution. 3. Decoding the preamble. 4. Rights, duties, and goals. And finally, 5. A living document.
Section 1. The ultimate rulebook.
You know, it's incredibly easy to think of a constitution as just some heavy, dusty, boring historical document sitting on a library shelf. But we really need to reframe that. It's actually the active, supreme law of the land. And to understand why we desperately need it, the source gives us this absolutely brilliant, simple analogy. Imagine your school team has just made it to the state-level finals in kabaddi. The stakes are super high. Suddenly, your player gets an opponent out, but the other team fiercely disputes it. They're yelling that she crossed the line. Total chaos breaks out, right? So how do you solve this without everyone just walking away mad? Well, the referee pulls out the official rulebook. Both captains look at the rules, agree on what's written, and boom, the dispute is settled fairly. Without that one agreed-upon set of rules, the whole game would just dissolve into an endless argument. Now, I want you to scale that sports analogy up to a country of over 1 billion people. A constitution is exactly that referee's manual, just on a massive, massive scale. It's a foundational document that spells out a nation's basic principles and laws. Basically, it's the ultimate rulebook, ensuring that everyone, from the average everyday citizen all the way up to the prime minister, agrees to play the complex game of governance by the exact same rules. And this ultimate rulebook lays out 4 absolutely crucial pillars for the entire nation. First, it establishes the government framework, so who makes the laws, who enforces them, and who judges them. Second, it sets up strict checks and balances, so no single group gets way too powerful. Third, it defines exactly what rights you have as a citizen and what your duties are in return. And lastly, it outlines the big long-term goals and aspirations of the nation. Now, putting all of those complex rules down on paper takes up some serious space. When we say the Indian Constitution is comprehensive, I mean it is the world's largest written constitution. Seriously. Today it contains a staggering 25 parts and 12 schedules. It's essentially an incredibly detailed architectural blueprint for the whole society. Section 2. Writing the Constitution. So, you're probably wondering, who actually wrote this massive rulebook? Well, while India was still fighting for its independence, a really diverse group of individuals known as the Constituent Assembly got together. They were tasked with figuring out exactly how the country would govern itself. And they had to answer some massive, unprecedented questions for a deeply complex and culturally rich nation. Questions like, who gets the right to vote? How do we actually protect fundamental rights? How do we share power between the central and state governments? Honestly, it was an absolutely monumental undertaking. But here's the catch, and this is a crucial point. A rulebook is really only as good as the players using it. Listen to this incredibly powerful quote from Dr. Rajendra Prasad, the very first president of India, spoken directly to the assembly. He noted that while they had indeed prepared a democratic constitution, its success actually required the people working it to have a, quote, willingness to respect the viewpoint of others, capacity for compromise. The rules are there, sure, but the spirit of compromise, that's the real engine that keeps the country running. And what's amazing is that the framers were deeply aware of India's long civilizational roots. Take a look at this quote from Begum Aizaz Rasool during the assembly debates back in 1949. She pointed out that the equality of women being written into the Constitution wasn't some brand new foreign invention they were just adopting. Rather, it was an ideal long cherished by India's heritage, finally being firmly protected by the actual law of the Republic. So the document was really designed to reflect the very best of the nation's deeply rooted values. Section 3. Decoding the preamble. Okay, think of the preamble like the introductory blurb on the back of a book. It tells you right up front exactly what core values the rest of the pages are going to uphold.
And we can actually translate these lofty, complex legal terms into a super handy everyday cheat sheet. Let's walk through it together. Secular basically means the government has no official religion and treats all beliefs with equal respect. So you definitely don't need the state's permission to practice your faith. Liberty translates to your daily freedom to think and express yourself without some unreasonable restrictions holding you back. Equality means the law treats you exactly the same as anyone else, ensuring equal opportunity across the board. And fraternity? That one's great. It simply means treating your fellow citizens like family, where absolutely no one is viewed as inferior. When you look at it this way, suddenly these giant academic concepts become very practical daily guidelines.
Section 4. Rights, Duties, and Goals. Let's break down the specific rules that apply directly to you and me, namely what we're owed as citizens and what we owe in return. The creators of this system set up a very clear distinction between fundamental rights and fundamental duties. Now, rights are the things you can demand immediately. Things like the right to equality or the right to education. The Constitution strictly guarantees these to you. But, as we all know, a functioning society is a two-way street, and that's exactly where duties come in. These are the obligations expected of you as an active, participating citizen. And this builds into some very clear, actionable steps. It's definitely not just about paying your taxes. The Constitution explicitly asks citizens to abide by the rules, to respect the national flag, to value our rich, composite culture, and, this is fascinating, to actively protect and improve the natural environment, like lakes, rivers, and wildlife. Caring for nature is quite literally written into the country's rulebook as a civic duty. How cool is that? Then you have something called directive principles. Now, while rights are immediate, directive principles are more like the long-term goals. Think of them as the target destinations the creators of the Constitution aimed for the government to achieve over time as the country progresses and gets more resources. We're talking about broader goals ensuring the overall welfare of the people as the nation develops. Section 5. A living document. So, the Constitution isn't just a theoretical idea or some relic of the past. It is physically and ideologically guarded to this very day. In fact, just to keep the physical original book incredibly safe, it's preserved right now in the Parliament inside a glass case filled with helium gas. Now, you might be wondering, why helium? Well, because it's a gas that doesn't react with paper or ink, ensuring that the physical words of the rulebook literally never degrade over time. It's honestly a beautiful metaphor for just how carefully the nation treats its foundational law. But to wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question directly from our source material. Something to really test the reality of this rulebook in your own life. We know the Constitution says all citizens in India are equal before the law. So my question to you as a focused learner is this. Look around your society. Look at your daily life. Do you think this is actually a fact in everyday practice? Because while the rulebook sets the standard, it is ultimately up to all of us as citizens to make it a reality. Think about that. Analyze your surroundings, and definitely keep exploring. Thanks so much for joining me today to decode this absolutely incredible document.